Meanwhile, aboard the Baul ship, Saru regains consciousness. A moment later, Sarana is transported aboard, confused as why the watchful eye had taken her, as it was not yet her time. She asked Saru why he had to come back. Everyone else had accepted that he was dead, but Sarana had seen the light in the sky, the Archimedes going to warp, the night he disappeared, and became a priest to seek that light. She said his face was beautiful to her, but that she also hoped she would never see it again, because that would mean that Saru was free. At that moment, a trio of Baul drones float into the room, one of which slams Saru up against the wall, where he is shackled at the wrist and neck, and from a pool in the center of the room arises a figure that looks a lot like the dude that killed Tasha Yar.
Yeah, I was sitting there trying to place what the Baul look like, but yeah, it does look a lot like that thing that did her in the Next Generation.
Yeah, so it's at this point in the episode, like, I start thinking, like, more Lovecraftian, you know?
Yeah, it kind of looks like if Lovecraft would have wrote The Ring to me.
Yeah, you know, there's that, the ships don't look in place for a recently warp-capable people. The aliens, the Baul, the aliens themselves, don't seem to fit anything. And I was kind of wondering if there might be a way that they were the original people that critter that killed Tasha came from, or if there might be something like that. I'm glad it didn't turn out to be that way. But, you know, at first, as I'm kind of like casting around in my head trying to make sense of them and their technology, that was one of the things that came up.
I had a very Gorn moment with this creature.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no way is this, if all of them are like this, no way did they do all this spacefaring stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, if you're just a big pool of ink and Metamucil, there's no way you were building ships.
Yeah.
Reviewing the historical biological data, Burnham and Tilly realized the truth about the Vahari and why it threatens the Baul. According to the Sphere's data, 2,300 years ago, the post-Vahari Kelpians actually greatly outnumbered the Baul, driving them to the verge of extinction. The Baul were originally the prey species, which meant that the quote-unquote evolved Kelpians had been the predators. Struggling against his restraints, Saru's evolution... It really just drives me nuts. Saru's evolution results in spikes protruding from where his ganglia had once been. Boy, we've all been there. Which then shoot out at the Baul, who is protected by a force field. The Baul remarks that Saru was the first Kelpian to pass Vahari in more than 2,000 years. But his primal fear responses remained the same as centuries ago, and that the Federation did not know what it had welcomed into their ranks. The Great Balance, the Baul claim, is the only way to keep the Kelpians from destroying everything in their path. Saru rejects the Great Balance as a line meant to defend the Baul from the Kelpians and to absolve themselves of murder, calling them frail and helpless without their technology.
Yeah, so they make a big deal out of all this stuff in this episode, but the very next episode onward, Saru acts like he's always acted.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of... There might be some minor differences that I'm not thinking about currently, but as I recall, right after this episode and everything forward of it, he just goes back to acting like he was before.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not so cowardly, but he didn't really act that cowardly to begin with.
In the first season, there were moments of it that were kind of amusing, you know.
Well, I mean, his ganglia came out, but I still feel like he kind of overcome that a lot of the times and still did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah. The Baul then retreats into its pool as the drones move in, including the one with a bladed drill ready to bore into Saru's skull, another pin surrounded the wall, locking her in restraints.